The day was supposed to be perfect. The dress, the flowers, the luxurious Manhattan hotel, everything screamed fairy tale wedding. Except for one tiny detail. The groom never showed up. I stood at the altar, my hands trembling, waiting for Jake to walk through the doors. But he never did. The whispers in the crowd grew louder. My father's face turned red with anger. My mother's eyes filled with shame. And then, the worst moment of my life. My best friend, Lily, stood up from her seat, her expression guilty. And she said it, right there, in front of everyone. Jake's not coming. He's with me.
Gasps. Shouts.
My vision blurred. Jake, my fiancé, had been cheating on me with my best friend. I didn't stay to hear the excuses. I turned on my heels and ran. Out of the hall, down the grand staircase, into a waiting limo. Where to, miss? The driver asked. I wiped my tears, my voice shaking. The airport. Anywhere but here. And that's how it started. The biggest mistake, and maybe the best decision, of my life. Las Vegas. The city of second chances, or terrible decisions. I wasn't thinking straight. My heart was raw. My pride wounded. I walked into the first bar I saw, sat down, and ordered something strong. And then he sat next to me. A stranger.
Tall.
Confident. A smirk that made me forget, just for a second, that my life was falling apart. Bad day? He asked, swirling his drink. You could say that, I replied. Same here, he said. So, what's your escape plan? I let out a bitter laugh. I don't have one. I just ran. He raised his glass. To reckless decisions then. One drink turned into two. Two turned into six. And then, somewhere between blurry memories and drunken courage, I looked at him and said something crazy. Let's get married. He didn't flinch. He just grinned and said, why not? And just like that, I did it. I married the first guy I met. I woke up to a pounding headache. My mouth was dry. My head was spinning. And then I saw it. A diamond ring. On my finger. I bolted up, my heart slamming against my chest.
What did I do?
I turned to my left and there he was. The stranger. Sleeping peacefully, like this was normal. His suit jacket was tossed on a chair. His shirt half unbuttoned. A hint of a tattoo peeking from his sleeve. And then his eyes opened. He looked at me. Smirked. Morning, wifey.
Oh, my God.
I scrambled out of bed, my pulse racing. Tell me this is a joke, I said. Tell me we didn't actually. He stretched, running a hand through his hair. Oh, it's real.
Papers signed.
Rings exchanged. We even kissed for the cameras. My stomach flipped. Cameras? I grabbed my phone and Googled my name. And there it was. A headline. Manhattan heiress marries mystery man in drunken Vegas wedding. The article had pictures. Me, in a mini wedding dress. Him looking annoyingly handsome. A chapel in the background.
Oh, no, no, no.
I turned to him, panic rising. Who are you? He grinned. Good question, wife. I needed answers. Okay, fine. We're married. But who are you? What do you do? He leaned back against the pillows, totally relaxed. Name's Ethan Carter. The name sounded familiar. Too familiar. I grabbed my phone and searched, and then I froze. Ethan Carter. Billionaire investor. Tech mogul. Reclusive CEO.
Oh, my God.
I married him? Ethan just chuckled. Not so fast, wifey. I folded my arms. Excuse me? I actually need a wife right now, he said. And you need to save face after your ex humiliated you. Sounds like a win-win situation to me. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Was he proposing a deal? Ethan leaned against the dresser, completely unfazed. Here's the deal, he said smoothly. You stay married to me for 6 months. In return, I make sure you come out of this looking like a queen instead of a heartbroken woman. I narrowed my eyes. And what do you get? He smirked. A wife on paper keeps my board off my back. A fake marriage. 6 months. Then we'd go our separate ways. It sounded insane, but maybe it was exactly what I needed. I folded my arms. I want a contract. Ethan raised an eyebrow. I like the way you think. And just like that, I became a billionaire's wife. I thought I knew what I was getting into. I had no idea what was coming next. If I thought a fake marriage would be simple, I was dead wrong. Ethan wasted no time. By noon, his assistant had already emailed me a contract. 50 pages of legal jargon, outlining everything from public appearances to social media posts. Rule number 1, we had to act like a real couple in public. Rule number 2, no falling in love. That last one made me scoff, as if I'd fall for a man like him. By evening, I was sitting in the back of his private limousine, heading to our first event as husband and wife. A high-profile charity gala in Beverly Hills. You look nervous, Ethan noted, his sharp blue eyes studying me. I'm fine, I lied, adjusting the diamond bracelet he had insisted I wear. He smirked. Just follow my lead. The moment we stepped inside, cameras flashed. Reporters swarmed us. I felt his hand slide around my waist, his touch possessive yet effortless. She's breathtaking, someone whispered. I plastered on a smile, hoping I looked as confident as Ethan did. He leaned in, his lips brushing my ear.
See?
You're a natural. But as I looked around the room, my heart nearly stopped. Because across the hall, staring straight at me was Jake, my ex-fiancé. And next to him, Lily, the best friend who betrayed me.
Oh, no.
Ethan followed my gaze and smirked. Well, looks like tonight just got a lot more interesting. I froze.
Jake.
Lily, the two people who shattered my heart standing right there, watching me. Lily whispered something in Jake's ear, and he smirked. My stomach twisted. Were they laughing at me? Did they think I was still the pathetic, heartbroken woman they left behind? Not tonight. I straightened my shoulders, plastering on my most dazzling smile. Ethan noticed, of course he did. He always noticed. Ex? He asked casually, his breath warm against my skin. I nodded stiffly. He smirked. Let's give them a show then. Before I could react, he pulled me closer, his hand firm against my waist. And then, right there, in front of everyone, he kissed me. The room spun. It wasn't a soft, delicate kiss. It was intentional, bold, a message. I felt Jake's eyes burning into me, and when Ethan finally pulled away, I stole a glance in his direction. His jaw was clenched. Good. Lily looked furious. Even better. Ethan chuckled under his breath. That should do it. I swallowed, trying to ignore the way my heart was hammering. This was fake, just part of the deal. And yet, why did my skin feel like it was on fire? Jake stormed toward us. Can we talk? He said through gritted teeth. Ethan didn't budge. He tightened his grip on my waist, his voice smooth as silk. She's busy. Jake's fists clenched. This isn't real, he scoffed. You don't love him. Ethan laughed, actually laughed. And yet, here she is, wearing my ring. Jake turned to me, desperation flickering in his eyes. You don't have to do this. I smiled sweetly. Oh, but I want to. Lily grabbed Jake's arm. Let's go, Jake. But he was still staring at me. Regretting? Hurting? I didn't care. Ethan leaned down, whispering so only I could hear. That was fun. Ready for round 2. I had no idea what he meant, but something told me this was just the beginning. The moment Jake and Lily disappeared into the crowd, I exhaled. My hands were still shaking, but I refused to let it show. Ethan, of course, noticed. Still bothered, he asked, swirling his whiskey. I scoffed. Please. That was perfect. His smirk deepened. You're a terrible liar. I turned to face him, my pulse still unsteady from the kiss. The performance, I reminded myself. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. Made my ex regret his entire existence. Ethan tilted his head. And yet, you're gripping your glass like it personally offended you. I quickly loosened my hold. He had this annoying ability to read me like an open book. Before I could respond, a voice interrupted us. Mr. Carter, what a surprise. I turned to see an older man in an expensive suit approaching. He had a polished, calculating air, like he was used to being the most important person in the room. Ethan's expression didn't change, but something in his posture did. "Senator Whitmore." Ethan greeted smoothly. My stomach clenched. "Wait, as in the Whitmore?" The senator's eyes flickered to me, assessing. "And this must be your wife?" Ethan didn't miss a beat.
Yes.
"Scarlett meets Senator Whitmore." I swallowed hard. This was no ordinary introduction. I was being tested. The senator extended his hand, his smile polite but distant. "Pleasure to meet you. You must be very special." His tone made it clear he didn't buy our story. I returned his handshake with the firmest grip I could manage. "It's an honor, Senator. Ethan speaks highly of you."
A lie.
Ethan barely spoke about anyone. The senator chuckled. "Well, I hope we'll be seeing more of you then." He gave Ethan a knowing glance before walking away. The moment he was out of earshot, I turned to Ethan. "Who was that?" Ethan downed the rest of his drink. "Someone I need to impress." I frowned. "And what does that have to do with me?" He gave me a slow, amused smile. "Because, wife, our marriage isn't just a show for your ex. It's a game. And we just stepped into the big leagues." I shivered. Something told me I was in way over my head. The ride home was silent. Not the comfortable kind, the loaded kind. Ethan leaned back in his seat, watching the city lights blur past. I could feel his gaze on me, but I refused to acknowledge it. My mind was still spinning from the senator's words, from the weight of what I had just stepped into. I had agreed to a fake marriage to fix my reputation, to escape humiliation.
But now?
Now I was tangled in his world. Ethan finally broke the silence. "You handled that well." I scoffed. "Oh, you mean the part where Senator basically called me a fraud?"
He smirked.
"You kept your composure. That's what matters." I turned to him, arms crossed. "Ethan, what did he mean by seeing more of me? Are we supposed to be parading around as a power couple now?" Ethan didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into the minibar, pulled out a bottle of scotch, and poured himself a drink. "Scarlett," he said finally, his tone smooth but unreadable. "This marriage isn't just about keeping the media distracted from your past. It's about my future." I narrowed my eyes. "Go on." He swirled the liquid in his glass. "The board of my company is pressuring me to settle down. Investors don't trust a CEO with a personal life as unpredictable as mine. They want stability. A wife makes me look stable." I let out a breath. "So, you do need me." His lips curled. "I thought we already established that." I shook my head.
No.
"Before, I thought I was just here to look pretty for the press. Now you're telling me I'm part of your corporate strategy." He took a sip, watching me over the rim of his glass. "Correct." I exhaled sharply, leaning back against the seat. "Unbelievable." Ethan set his drink down and turned fully toward me. "It's not a bad deal, Scarlett. You get your revenge story, I get my company's trust. 6 months, and we both walk away winners." I stared at him. His confidence was infuriating. He spoke like he had it all planned out, like I was just another business move. But the truth was, I needed this deal just as much as he did. I sighed.
"Fine.
But if I'm playing the part of your perfect wife, I need something in return." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Name it." I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I want full control over my family's trust fund." His expression didn't change, but I knew I had his attention. "My parents still control my inheritance," I explained. "After what happened with Jake, they don't trust me to make decisions for myself. If I come out of this marriage looking strong, I can finally break free from them." Ethan studied me for a moment. Then slowly he smirked. "Now that is an interesting demand." He extended his hand. "We have a deal, Mrs. Carter." I hesitated, then placed my hand in his. The moment our fingers touched, something shifted in the air between us. This was just a game, a business deal. But for some reason, it felt like I had just signed away a piece of my soul. And something told me, Ethan Carter never played fair. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Do well to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more episodes.